Welcome back to another episode of the 30-day challenge. This is a top 5 baits for fall crappie, but I gotta get this organized. 1 second. There we go. Oh, almost fell out of the boat doing that thing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If it's your first time here, this is the Flopping Crappie channel. I'm Davis, and today's video is the top 5 baits for fall crappie. So before we actually get into the baits, you have to understand the location that you're going to be fishing. So in the fall, what happens a lot of times with most natural lakes, if you're fishing a lake with a lot of brush piles, this may or may not be the case. But a lot of natural lakes, these crappie, during the winter time, they're going to suspend over deeper water basins, okay? On the lake that I'm on right now, these basins are between 25 and 30 feet. So what I'm looking for is actually the ledge drop off from where they were during the summer to where they're going to be in the winter time. And on this lake, that ledge drop off is between 18 to 22 feet. So this drop off, these crappie are actually going to school up. They're schooling up very tight on this drop off, preparing for that colder water, those colder temperatures to go suspend over that winter basin. Now, the great thing about fall crappie fishing and spring crappie fishing, they stack up and they school up really tight. In the springtime, they school up, well, they're not really schooled up in the springtime, but they're really tight, packed to the shoreline. It's easy to find them. In the fall, this is the second best time to go crappie fishing because they'll school up really tight right on these drop-offs. And when you find one, you're usually gonna find 20, 30, 40 or more in that school, and it's gonna be a lot of fun catching them. So the reason they actually suspend off this drop-off, I actually posted a drop shot video recently, and I was talking about the transition from hard bottom to soft bottom. I also posted a video a while back about how to find suspended crappie, and again, it's that hard bottom to soft bottom transition. And if you haven't seen those, basically what it is the lake, the structure on the bottom of the lake, it goes from sand or gravel to, let's say, a muck or a silt bottom. And that transition point where that hard bottom comes and meets that soft bottom, that's where a lot of these fish will suspend over. And it's not just crappie, you'll find walleye, bass, the whole range of species will be there. They're there for 2 reasons. The first reason is that's because where the bait fish are. What happens in the fall is a lot of times these bait fish are in the shallower weeds, maybe not so shallow, let's say 10 to 15 foot weed beds. But during the fall, these weeds die, okay? The forage isn't there anymore for these bait fish to stay, and that cover isn't there anymore. So what happens a lot of times when fish lose cover, they seek shelter, they flight to safety in deep water. So the bait fish are the first to go. They're the first ones to transition out to this point of hard bottom, soft bottom transition right on these ledges, just on the side of these deeper water basins. So when the bait fish go, that's when all the predator fish go, and that includes crappie. The second reason is because the oxygen levels in the water. So the spring and the fall are the 2 best times to go fishing just for any species because the water temps are warming and cooling enough. And that transition period between warming and cooling water temps is what mixes the oxygen throughout the water column. And the more oxygen in the water throughout the water column, that's going to trigger these fish. Their metabolism is going to increase, making them more aggressive, which is why everyone likes the fall and the spring bite for fishing, especially for fishing crappie. Now that you know the location on where I'm going to find these fish, let's get into top 5 baits. So bait number 1, and I've already done a video on this, bait number 1 is the jigging wrap. So this one is great, especially now I'm going to do a sharpshooting video. I'll post it after this one because I've talked about using sharpshooting as a tactic for targeting crappie. But this bait is great because it falls fast, meaning you can get down to the depths of 15, 20 feet where these crappie are suspended really quickly when you see them on the sonar. This bait darts around, it looks like a bait fish. It looks exactly like a bait fish. I have a shad patterned one, I have a perch patterned one. So matching whatever species of bait fish is in your lake is really important. But these ones are great. This is my favorite one because I let it drop to the bottom. I bring it up probably 3-4 feet. And as I can vertically jig this, but I can cover a lot of water both vertically and horizontally because when I jig it up and down, this actually kicks left and right. Okay, it moves in different motions and it can go 3-4 feet to one side and 3-4 feet back the other way. And all you're doing is vertically jigging it. So this is by far the best one. The reason I really like it, especially from sharpshooting, is because it's a large body. Okay, it's a large target for that sonar to pick up. So you can actually see it as you're dropping it down Whether you're using your trolling motor sonar or the sonar behind your boat, you can see it as it's falling and you can see fish coming up to hit it. So this is by far my favorite bait for fall crappie fishing. The second bait that I love to use, and I did a summertime video on this, is the lipless crankbait. Again, this mimics the bait fish. This is kind of like a sexy shad pattern. This other one is a crappie pattern. Crappie will hit crappie, believe it or not. The other reason I like this is because I can cover a lot of water, and that's usually what you have to do on these lakes. If you're not fishing brush piles, which I know some of you have a lot of brush piles on these lakes, and these crappie might not suspend over deeper water basins during the winter time, but if you're fishing deeper brush piles, don't fish directly over them because you'll probably hook into it, but fish around these things. It'll look like bait fish kind of fluttering, going in and out of that brush pile. You'll get some strikes. But the other reason I fish these open water is because you can cover a lot of water while you're trolling, while you can even cast these. I don't really like casting these. I know a lot of walleye guys like casting these. I just think I have better control when I'm casting the lipless crankbaits as far as the fall rate goes. Lure number 3 of the top 3 is a bucktail or a hair jig. These actually were hand tied, sent to me by Dennis from Fishing Lake Country. I'm going to do a separate video on these. And then this was hand tied by, I can't remember now, this was hand tied by another subscriber, this bucktail, brown and white bucktail jig. This one is great for vertical jigging in and around brush piles. So if you do fish deeper brush piles during the fall, these bucktail jigs, these hair jigs are great because they mimic bait fish. Okay, that's the whole point of fall fishing. These crappie are going to be hitting bait fish. All right, so number 4 lure for the top 4 lures for fall crappie fishing is swim bait patterns, these plastic swim baits. I know you see me use these Charlie Brewer crappie sliders quite a bit, both the green and chartreuse, or the black and chartreuse, and then these white, blue, and silver. Those are great. Also these Berkeley power baits, and of course the Berkeley gulp minnows. These plastic swim baits, they just mimic the bait fish so well. Again, you got to match the bait fish color. So if you're fishing in a lake that has a lot of tulipy, you're fishing some sort of blue swim bait. You're fishing a lake that's got a lot of perch, you know, or bluegill, you're fishing something like that. So make sure you match the size and the color of the bait fish that are swimming in your lake. These ones are great. You can use them just on a regular, like I got this regular setup. This is a 1/8 ounce jig head, with that black and chartreuse little paddle tail swim bait. But I also use them on drop shots. You can do a double rig drop shot. You can even just do a double jig setup, just like this 2 1/8 ounce jigs. During the fall, the soft plaxes, I actually really like to use the drop shot effect. You can drop it to the bottom. You can set the depth that these crappie are suspended. You'll see them on the 2D sonar. They might be 5 feet off the bottom, 4 feet, 6 feet, somewhere in that range. And you can set your depth of your hook, your lure, of this soft plastic to put it right in front of these crappie's noses. That is bait number 4. Bait number 5, everybody uses. It is the live minnow. You see me use the slip bobber, this wobble bobber. I've done a lot of videos with the wobble bobber, both the wobble bobber and the stick bobber. I don't have a stick bobber with me right now, but live minnows, they're hitting bait fish right now. That is the bottom line. Fall crappie fishing, match that bait fish, match the color, match the size. You'll put fish in the boat. Know the location. Okay, we're looking on those deeper drop-offs next to deeper water basins. If you have a lake with a lot of brush, try to find brush in the deeper water, 15 to 20 foot range. These crappie are going to push deeper as the water temps get colder. Okay, so location first, know your location first, then determine what lures you're going to want to use. So to run it down again, number 1, the jigging wrap. Number 2, the lipless crankbait. Number 3, the hair jig or the bucktail jig. Number 4, plastic swim baits. And number 5, live minnows. Live minnows when all else fails. When nothing else is going to work, live bait, live minnows. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you like these kind of top bait lures, or if you like these top 5 baits or top lures for crappie, be sure to give it a like. The more likes I see, the more I'm going to put videos out like this one. And comment below what you kind of want to see next as far as maybe top lures or top tackle, top sonar units. Give me some ideas that you guys want to see in the comment section below. And if you're not a subscriber, if you're new to this channel and you're not a subscriber, below the screen, bottom right-hand corner, there's a red subscribe button. Click that, and then be sure to click the bell. The bell's gonna notify you every time I post a video, not only in this 30-day challenge, but also in October, November, going forward. So, appreciate you watching. We'll see ya.